Welcome to Touching is Good. I'm Daniel, and this is Might and Magic Clash of Heroes. The Might and Magic series is one of gaming's oldest RPG franchises, dating all the way back to 1986 with the debut of the original on the Apple II. Over the years, the series saw many sequels and spin-offs, such as the highly popular Heroes of Might and Magic games. While mainly a PC gaming series, Might and Magic has been present on Nintendo systems dating back to the NES with a port of the original game. However, it's not had much of a presence on Nintendo handhelds. Barring 3 entries on the Game Boy Color with Warriors of Might and Magic and ports of Heroes of Might and Magic 1 and 2, the series has more or less stayed away from handheld systems, which is understandable as due to the complex nature of the games, trying to make them work on a handheld system would not have been an easy task. For the most part, you'll find in the history of handheld systems, games tend to be better when they are made for the handheld experience and not just ports of what works in other systems. So when it was decided to bring the series to the Nintendo DS, instead of just porting an old Might and Magic game, publisher Ubisoft instead chose to have something new and fresh made, something that would work perfect for the Nintendo DS. Might and Magic Clash of Heroes was first released in the US on December 1st, 2009. The developer behind it is Canadian studio Capybara Games. Prior to the release of the game, Cappy had mainly worked in the mobile space. Their sole non-phone offering was Critter Crunch, a title that had started life for the iPhone but was later ported to the PS3. This is their first title that was developed exclusively for release on a console handheld system. It was later ported to the Xbox 360, PS3, Windows and smartphones, however I'll get more into those later. Clash of Heroes is a turn-based strategy RPG with a heavy amount of puzzle gameplay chucked in. The story is divided into 5 chapters, with each of the chapters seeing you controlling one of 5 armies in the game. The armies are the fast and nature-loving elves of Sylvan, the sturdy knights of Haven, the undead forces of Necropolis, the chaotic demon hordes of Inferno, and finally the powerful mages of Academy. Each of the armies have their own strengths and weaknesses. The forces of Haven, for example, have a huge focus on defense and units that can heal and strong walls, however they are a lot slower than the other armies. Instead of playing like a standard tactical RPG, the battles in this take on a very unique match 3 puzzle game flair. In battles, you and your opponent will occupy separate screens on the DS, your forces displayed on the bottom and theirs on the top. Your forces will randomly form up at the start of each battle. On their own, your units won't do anything. However, if you line 3 units of the same colour up, they'll create a formation. If you line them up vertically, they will create an attack formation. Horizontally, and they will create a wall. There are 2 main ways to create a formation. You can either move one unit from the back of your forces and move them to another location, or you can destroy a unit from within your units to result in the units behind it moving forward and hopefully forming up. All that is required is that you link up 3 units in a row and they'll create a formation. Each turn, barring the first, you start with a total of 3 moves you can make. If you have first turn, you only get 2. You can make more moves doing an action that results in multiple formations being created, such as removing a unit that makes a wall that then results in attack formation being created. Also, if you remove a unit and that results in a formation, you won't use a move. Each attack formation, once created, has a timer on it. The timer counts down as the turns progress, with the unit getting stronger each turn. Once the timer reaches 0, the unit will rush across to the opponent's battlefield, strike against any units in its path and hopefully make it all the way to the end of the screen and damage the enemy's general. As it hits other units on the way, your formation's HP will be depleted. If it hits a stronger unit, it will not proceed, but it will damage the opponent's units. Some formations will take longer to charge up for an attack, while others are fairly quick to strike. You can, however, strengthen existing formations, either by linking formations of the same colour and charge time up, or by creating a formation of the same type behind an already existing formation, which will result in them fusing together. Creating links and fusions is pretty much essential in the later stage of the game to beat some of the harder battles. To make things even more interesting, you have access to a limited number of elite and champion units. These special units will be much stronger than your standard troops and have access to different abilities, such as the Sylvan Deer, which can jump over enemy walls, or the Haven Priestess, which will heal your general's HP. These units will have a longer charge time on them, which if you time it right, you can link them up with standard units and even other special units to create very powerful combos. The game isn't all about attacking. As I said, you can create walls. This is done by lining 3 or more standard units up of the same colour. Each army has their own unique type of wall. The elves, for example, have walls that regrow when damaged. The demons have walls that set units on fire, causing more damage as they march across the battlefield. Also, you can create your own formations to block enemy units that have formed up. On top of all of these, your general has their own special attacks, They can be pulled up when their magic meter is full, and you can also acquire special items during the story that can be used in various ways to strengthen up your units. So there's a lot going on in this game. Now, this may sound really complex and full on, but it's really not. The game does a great job of easing you into everything and explaining to you the ins and outs of the gameplay. And it's pretty simple once you get into it. You'll find yourself looking at units you have to work with at the start of each battle, trying to find as many free moves as possible and then start planning out the battle. Do you just line up a bunch of normal troops to get them in quickly, or start getting all units set up to pull off a big game-winning combo? It's amazing the level of strategy this game requires for something that at its core is basically just a match 3 puzzle game. With the DS and its 2 screens, developers tried to mix things up a lot more than they had in the past. As a result, you saw more titles like Might and Magic Clash of Heroes trying to mess around with the standard gaming genres and do new and different things. The DS saw a decent selection of puzzle fusion games, such as this or other titles like Puzzle Quest or Henry Hatsworth and the Puzzling Adventure. Clash of Heroes is one of the best uses of the dual screen I've seen in the DS. Having a force on one side of the player field and your opponent on the other really helped make things easy to understand and plan ahead. Now, the one issue I have with battles is that there is a somewhat random element to it. You have no control over what units come onto the field at any given time. You have a pool of a limited number of units. As you lose units, this pool will replenish, allowing at the cost of a move for you to bring more onto the field. However, the placement of units is always random, so units coming in could block you from a move you'd been planning. This can be even more frustrating at the start of the battle. Sometimes you'll be dealt an awesome lineup of units, able to pull off several moves in the first turn. Other times, you'll be lucky to get one. I get that luck needs to be a big part of any puzzle RPG like this, but it can seem unfair at times when you start the match and your opponent has been given a great hand at the start, and then you need to spend the next few turns working on a good defense instead of forming your own attacks. It's not too bad to be game breaking, but it can be a pain. I did find myself restarting some of the battles sometimes just because there was no way I was going to win. That said, other than that, the battle system is a blast. Now, a fun battle system is one thing in an RPG, however it's not much if it isn't wrapped up in a good story. As I said earlier, the game is divided into 5 chapters. In these, you take the control of 5 young heroes who have been thrown into the winds at the start of the game when their parents were all murdered by demons, and it's up to them to uncover the demon plot, claim revenge for the death of their parents, and save the day. Each chapter sees you take control of a different hero in a different part of the world and commanding a different army, and they all take about 5 hours to play through each. While the chapters are pretty much standalone, they do all play part in a larger narrative, and are all leading to the final chapter. The story isn't anything original or new, but it's a lot of fun, and there are a few little twists in there, and it's cool to see how they all fit together and come to an epic conclusion. At the start of each chapter, you can take control of one of the 5 heroes as they try to make sense of the events that have just happened. You'll be given a very small force to control, and over the course of the chapter, you'll slowly level up your character through battling. As you level up, your character gets stronger with more HP, stronger wall, access to more troops in the field at any time. Your units also level up and this will increase their attack power. Also, as you win battles, you'll gain money. The money can be used to purchase special units. If any special unit is destroyed in battle, you'll lose that and need to buy more to replenish your stock. Thankfully, the game does have random battles in certain areas, so if you're okay with grinding, then grind away and you'll have as much money as you want. Most battles are won by simply draining your opponent's HP. However, there are a few in the game that require you to complete certain objects, such as hitting switches in a certain order, hitting enemies who are moving behind obstacles and so on. You'll also find boss battles in each area which pit you against one large unique creature. These help keep things fresh and interesting. Also, each chapter has a few side missions. These are usually completing some puzzle challenges or completing certain bounties. Once you finish the chapter, it's off to the next chapter and back to square one with an all new area to play through and an army to play with. This can be a bit jarring as you'll have just gone from a well-oiled death machine of an army back to a kit and weak force, but it keeps things fresh and interesting. It also forces you to constantly mix things up and try new armies. Capy have gone for a great 16-bit art style with this game. All the units have this almost cute SNES RPG character look to them. Even the hellish demons look adorable in this game. The main character art and cutscenes are done with an anime art style, which is a bit jarring compared to the Western art style of the original Might and Magic games. However, you could argue this art style works better on a handheld platform than the more traditional series art would. Each of the areas in the game has a great look to them, none of them feel samey. The music is good, nothing really stands out as memorable, but then again, nothing is too intrusive. And it's better to have a good soundtrack that's kind of forgettable than music that grates new any day of the week. Now, this is hands down one of the best games on the DS, getting up to serious top 10 games on the system for myself. It's perfectly designed for play on the system, and to this day one of the few games I can go back to and play over and over again. doesn't have a lot in the way of extra options to play through. There's a skirmish mode where you can take on the CPU using characters you've unlocked in the main story, and it also supports local multiplayer via single card if you're interested. Now, I mentioned earlier that Clash of Heroes was ported to other systems: Xbox 360, PS3, Windows, iOS and Android. These are all very good ports of the original game. The graphics have been given the usual HD upgrade, so while you lose the fun sprite art of the DS, they do look a lot more detailed. I can't speak for the mobile versions, but having played it on 360 and PC, I can say these hold up very well, and it's still a lot of fun to play. The big feature these versions have over the original is that you can play online and take on others rather easily in battles, so if online play is big for you, might be worth checking it down on these instead. Regardless of what system you play Clash of Heroes on, you'll be in for a treat. It's one of the best games on the DS and maybe the best title developed by a Western studio for the system. I can't suggest everyone play this game enough. Anyway, that wraps things up for this episode. I'll hopefully be back again for another episode around Halloween time for you with a special zombie-filled episode. Until then, you can follow me on Twitter at WorthNintendo. Make sure you check us out at www.vooks.net for all the latest Australian Nintendo news and reviews. Hit the subscribe button so you can get the latest episodes of Touching Is Good as soon as it's live. And make sure you follow Vooks on our various social media platforms. Until next time, I'll catch you later. Bye!